Blues Brothers here on Bishop and God.
Yes.
That scared me.
Good evening. It is 5:01 p.m., and I would like to call the March 25th board meeting to order and ask that you join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now would you please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we'll have the mission statement read by Mr. Lau-Schmidt.
The Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to assure that each and every student will graduate prepared for college, career, and citizenship, as evidenced by continuing education, pursuing a career path, and contributing to a community.
Thank you, Director Smith. The next item on our agenda is a business partner show of support. Waterloo Schools is extremely proud and appreciative of the outstanding support we receive from our many business partners. One group in particular, the Career Technical Education Advisory Group, has shown enormous support of the Waterloo Career Center. This group has coordinated a letter of support for the project, which will be presented at the board members today, March 25th, 2024. Believe we have, Amy Hunzelman will come speak.
Good evening. I'm here to share, you hear me okay? I'm here to share a letter of support signed by over 30.
Make sure the green light is on, if you could, please.
It's on. Can you still not hear me? Thank you. All right, Anthony, can I have your help or someone else volunteer to help me pass these out, please? Thank you so much. I'm here to share a letter of support signed by over 30 Cedar Valley businesses and partners for the Unified One High School for Waterloo Schools. As you are aware, we rely heavily on our community partners for our students' education and experiences at Waterloo, whether that's program, financial, volunteer, expertise, work-based learning, or our partners in education. Their investment in our students and staff goes beyond financial support. It extends to sharing educational learning both in and out of the classroom and aiding in our Cedar Valley workforce job opportunities. We might have a few individuals here tonight, maybe. They are here in a passionate, or not here representing, but that's okay. We have on the pages 3 and 4 a list of those individuals and/or businesses.
I'm just going to add a few words here too. Amy, thanks for presenting that. Board, you're having a chance to look at the businesses who all have gone on record, I guess you could say, in terms of supporting this project. I know at times, the board, you get feedback from your constituents in your different areas of city or anybody in the district. At times, you kind of hear maybe the negatives or the people who have pushed back on the project or have questions about it. I will say in my experiences of talking to community partners, businesses, a group of realtors a couple different times, I would say almost every single business or group that is out there has been supportive of this project. And again, maybe I'm a little biased, but there's a lot of excitement from those groups that we've talked to. So I appreciate Amy, and Emily's gone tonight, so Amy stepping in, but it's pretty cool to see how many businesses, some of the largest employers in this district, they want to see this project happen. So just want to get that in front of you. We still have a few months until we make a decision, but getting that in front of you now to show how much community support there is for the project was something we wanted to put in front of you.
Thank you, Amy. Any comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment that we appreciate the support because the plan is successful for every student in Waterloo schools to have equal access to a truly combination traditional and career center experience. And that will be unique in Iowa. But the output, hopefully, will be beneficial to each and every one of these businesses, especially those that provide mentorship or apprenticeships. So I think it's truly a great hand-in-glove fit. And this initial support on behalf of the businesses will help kick this thing off and get it developed. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I firmly believe that, and I've said this at many meetings and to many of the members, but that moving toward a one high school project is really, really important for Waterloo, and it's going to give opportunities to so many of our kids and give them all the same opportunity at the same time. And this list of businesses, some of the smartest, brightest minds in our community, and seeing that they want this to happen too, because they know as business owners what it takes to attract good employees to Waterloo and make our town more economically viable. It's really, really neat to see this, all these names of sort of the captains of industry in Waterloo and what they want to do, and I think that we should all listen very carefully to what they have to say.
Well said. Seeing none others, we'll move along with the agenda. Item 6, school presentation, Cunningham School, Dr. Walter Cunningham School for Excellence. Throughout the 2023-24 school year, we will hear about many amazing things happening in each of our buildings. In our first presentation, we will hear Cunningham School for Excellence Principal Neldrika Whitaker and her team as they present It's Our Time to Shine.
Thank you so much. We are extremely excited to be here to present about Cunningham. We love our school, so we take any opportunity that we can to share about our building. Today, I have brought with me a few of our staff members. First of all, we have Lindsay Hine, who is here in support. We also have Corey Frazier, who is currently in the leadership program, the Waterloo Lead program. We also have Ashley Clark, who is also a part of the Waterloo Lead program, who is instructional strat. And then we have Katie Timms, who is also in a leadership program here as well. I thought this would be a great opportunity for the board to get familiar with them. One of the things that we do at Cunningham is build Waterloo leaders from the ESC to building levels to coaches. So I wanted to give them an opportunity so that you can get familiar with them, as they will be back here to support Waterloo in a leadership role. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys.
You're going to have to get closer so you can see.
There you go.
So I realize that I don't meet the height requirement, so I will try my best to speak into the microphone. But this is the beginning of our presentation, Dr. Walter Cunningham School for Excellence. It is our time to shine.
Maybe if you hit the space. There you go.
So this is our Cunningham #family wearing our purple shirts. I must say we look beautiful. Cunningham story. We opened in 2002 under the leadership of Liz Crowley. Innovative building. It was piloted all year round. School dress code, other initiatives like single gender classrooms, a majority of minority schools. We have more African American students than we do any other ethnicity. Serves the highest population in the district of free and reduced lunch at 93%. And Cunningham has created leaders throughout the district and beyond.
Just a few of the traditions that we have at Cunningham. Learning and knowing our community. We are a very community-based school. We have our red carpet event at the beginning of every year where we welcome our students back. Many of our board members have been present at our red carpet event. We originated the Black Men Read Week. We have many cultural celebrations. We have inclusive family events like Donuts with Grown-Ups, Star Breakfasts with families once a month, the staff versus fifth grade kickball game, which the staff is undefeated 21 years running, lunch on the lawn with our families on the last day of school. We are always in the My Waterloo Days parade. We have started a tradition of a staff Friendsgiving before we leave for Thanksgiving break, and we have at least one family or community event at our building every month.
So Cunningham looks through everything that we do with our vision with these three things in mind. Pride and excellence is in our name, so we make sure to prioritize it. Every decision we make is data-driven, and we always look through things with an equity lens.
What does pride and excellence mean? It means pride and excellence for everyone. Every adult, student that comes in our building should show pride and excellence in all that we do. Staff and students are held to high expectations, and we also ensure that they are all equipped to meet those high expectations. So we don't just send them out there. There's a system of support to be excellent at Cunningham. We are proud of the work that we do. Holding yourself to a level of excellence, it's more than just a word. It's in our name, and it's who we are.
So we have very much evidence-based and data-driven initiatives at our school. We show ownership in our data for everyone. So we want to be proud to put our name next to the data that we show you. So it includes student data for all of our students, not just some of them. We have climate and culture surveys that we take. We don't do feelings, we do data. Our numbers speak. So we keep those posted outside of our classroom doors. We send them home monthly in a newsletter for each grade level. We have a main hallway where on one end we have data and the other end we have a data wall. And also the staff and the students both have pride binders.
So just to brag a little bit about our equity, our ISAF's data to show how we're doing with it, we have a few celebrations specifically in math. Our fourth graders were able to reverse the achievement gap. So our African American students are outperformed our white students by 28.6%. And overall in grades 3, 4, and 5, the achievement gap was reduced to a negative 1.5%. When we look at literacy through the same lens, fourth grade achievement gap was reduced to less than 2%, and then our overall achievement gap in grades 3, 4, and 5 was 9%.
Our ISAS equity data for math for fourth grade, our African American students, 59% of them were proficient, as well as our white students, 67%. For fifth grade, African Americans scored at 57% proficiency, and whites, 100%, both of those students.
If we look at our literacy fast equity data, our African American students were 44% proficient in the fall this year, and then 55% proficient in the winter, so they increased by 11%. And our white students were proficient at 61%, with 69 being proficient in the winter, with an increase of 8%. Our celebrations are that kindergarten and second grade, our African American students had a higher percentage of students proficient. And our third and fourth grade, our African American students were more proficient than our 2 or more race students.
So with our school improvement plan, we take at the guidance of the district, and our 3 focus areas are attendance, climate, and achievement. And what that means is that that's how we look at everything we do at Cunningham. So at Cunningham, our SIP plan is a living, breathing document, and it's incorporated into all parts of our day. We talk about it, we tie back professional development, we tie back our PLCs, our data, our lesson plans, our evaluations. At team leader meetings, we discuss how do this information or these things fit in with our building SIP plan. And then with our pride binders, as educators, we always address how what we're doing in our classrooms and in our daily work goes back to our SIP plan.
So equity is in everything that we do. Our PLCs, our lesson plans. It is In our PLC template for each area, we always ask, how will we respond to those African American students who did not meet proficiency with the standards? It's also in our coaches PLC template. We have evaluations. So under each standard evidence of equity and discussion around this is what we do during one of our meetings. And we just finished doing a staff book study called We Got This by Cornelius Minor.
By any means necessary has been our hashtag in-house, and we really mean by any means necessary. For student achievement, we offer tutoring clubs, we work across grade levels, we have high levels of PD implementation checks and coaching that follows, as well as vertical alignment. We build relationships with hashtag family events. We celebrate the wins and support when we're down, showing up for each other in all the small ways. And we connect with our families with home visits, conferences, monthly progress reports, attendance reports, pride binders, monthly family events, and community events to support our students. You will always find one of us at a football game, basketball game, dance recital, baptism. We'll be there.
So what does that mean? Like, what are our takeaways? So we've come a long way in the last 6 years, and how did we get here? We set a vision, and we believed in it. We became really vulnerable in our relationships, and that's beyond the surface level. We have to trust each other for sure. Little things are big things at Cunningham. Every piece of growth is a big deal. We go the extra mile every day, because if it is to be, it is up to me. We have our admin is always visible in our building, both of them. And while they have ownership of the building, they also relinquish some of that control to us, who have goals of maybe being in administration one day. And then we make room for people to actually lead in their responsibilities.
Did I go too fast?
You did, go ahead.
My bad.
This you or is it me?
Go ahead.
Okay, so some celebrations about Cunningham. We have had an increase in staff retention. We have scored above 90% on the end of the year staff culture and climate survey. Our Iowa School Performance Report Card for this year, we are no longer targeted for our students with IUPs, and we are no longer targeted for our African American students, and we have moved to the acceptable category. We send home monthly progress reports. We have 100% for conferences, both fall and spring, for the 5th year in a row. Our teachers and staff are active in our students' lives outside of school. We are closing the achievement gap, and majority of our teachers are choosing to attend professional developments and teacher quality opportunities, and our students with IEPs are reaching and surpassing proficiency.
So, we also have classroom libraries with reading materials that are reflective of our students. We provide students with books to create at-home libraries. We have an integration of thriving extended core program. We have 2 teachers in the Lead Waterloo program and 1 teacher in another administration program. We have 1 teacher in the Purple Pathways program, 1 staff member last year that graduated from the Teach Waterloo program and is now working for the district this year, and 1 staff member that is looking to start the Purple Pathways Teach Waterloo program next year.
Thank you. Let me loud out.
Do we have any questions or comments for the Cunningham staff?
Yeah, yep. So, great seeing the numbers and the improvements there. What percentage of your kids are attending summer school, and how you feel it's impacting your summer slip?
So one of the things that we were lucky to do last year was that we were able to house the summer school program at our building last year. That helped our students to be able to attend more because it was in our neighborhood, and that helps us to get better numbers. I wouldn't necessarily say we had a large percentage of our kids be a part of the program because some of our kids did end up getting bused to other locations. So I wouldn't say like a high percentage of our kids participated, and looking at the setup for this year, not necessarily will a large amount of our kids be participating in summer school, just the way like the formula is set up this year. I don't know like the exact number, but I would say when I look at being that I was in the building, probably about in each classroom, maybe 3 or 4 of the kiddos belong to Cunningham.
Congratulations on moving up to acceptable. To me, that's a a really big deal.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations.
We've been working extremely hard, and it comes from the work that my staff is doing at Cunningham. They believe in our vision, they believe in what we do, so they wholeheartedly are putting in the work that needs to occur to do these things.
Could you tell me a little bit more about your tutoring clubs? What are they, how do they work, when do they meet?
So a couple of different ways that we have that in place. One of the things that we do is that we do offer our before-school flash program. We usually do that between January and spring break. This gives kids an opportunity to get additional learning with classroom teachers in a small group setting. Like I said, it is before school. We've done it after school, but we find that with after-school activities and things like that, we actually get better numbers in the morning. And you would not be able to imagine this, but actually our kindergarten kids, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, have the larger numbers. So they are there at about 6:30 in the morning for those extra supports. So that's one of the things that we offer is Flash. Some of the other things that we offer, and again, these are by teachers going above and beyond, is that they will offer additional supports for students that are in need. So they put things in place to give those extra supports for those kiddos. They set this up with families on their own to work with kids before or after school.
So are these teachers compensated for the tutoring?
Flash, yes, as that's something that we're doing as a building. The other ones that they do, we provide additional things like trade time that they can do, because again, this is not something that we're saying you have to do. This is teachers going, being of pride and excellence and believing in our vision of by any means necessary, going above and beyond creating these things.
And then lastly, you distinguish between 2 or more and African Americans. Do you have critical mass of 2 or more in these subcategories?
Our largest population is African American students. 2 or more races would be, I would say, the second largest. That'd be our second largest, and then after that, our Hispanic population.
And those are self-identified?
Yes. So off of what the families put into Infinite Campus is what we go off of.
Okay.
Yep. And historically, our 2 or more races, even within the Waterloo schools, tend to do better on the assessments than our African American students. And that's not just a Cunningham thing. This is a district-wide thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there anything unique you feel like that Cunningham was doing that maybe some of the other buildings should maybe explore as far as bringing your scores up?
I wouldn't necessarily say there are things, one of the things that we were able to do, I want to say in January, was present some of these slides and additional slides to the principals at one of our admin meetings, our PDs. So we were able to lay out some of the things that we're doing. Actually, I've had some people reach out and say, tell me more about what you're doing. Tell me how you guys got 100% for our conferences. Tell me more about those pride binders. So I think there's not one magical answer, but there are different things that we do to create what we have at Cunningham.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It looks fun and safe to go to your school, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. Again, it's all our staff. We have the right people on the bus to get us there, and we've worked hard these past 6 years together to get to the culture and climate and get to the achievement that we're at today. And we still have a ways to go, so we'll continue to do that work to continue to close that achievement gap and put even more things in place at our school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how do you get 100% conference participation?
By any means necessary. We will walk you out to the car. We will go grab lunch from the gas station your mom works at if she can't make it. We will have a conference at 6:30 in the morning, or we will have a conference at 6:30 at night. We will call you on, we'll meet up with you on your day off if you need to. We'll go to your house and sit on your porch and play with your dog and have conversations. We don't care, because we know how important that relationship is between families and schools. And it's so important that we will chase you down the parking lot with a piece of paper if we have to.
And I think also the more that we do it, the more it becomes the norm and the expectation. And so we've had this for 5 years, so now our families know, oh, let me go ahead and get my conference done, or they're going to be calling me, or they're going to be showing up at my house. We also take advantage of those opportunities, like there's a 3-week window before conferences and a 3-week window after conferences. So my teachers start, I had a couple of teachers who were already done before conferences even started, the official day, because we take advantage of those days. So we know we have like parents that are a little bit more challenging to reach. We start 3 weeks ahead of time going and reaching out to those families and making those connections.
I just want to congratulate you. You know, it's definitely have a great culture there. For teachers to go above and beyond what they're doing, they're having relationships that count. By your team using all means, what's
By any means
by any means
necessary.
necessary, tells me you have trust. You have trust from the parents. And so I think that goes a long way of when you're trying to get the point across of education is important. And then it's reciprocated by the parents. So I just want to congratulate you and your staff. Keep on doing what you're doing, and I still need to come over and read.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So I see there's a lot of teachers in the gallery. I may or may not be a little bit biased, just because Cunningham is my community school, and I see some of the great things that you're doing. I have a second grader currently at Cunningham. I've been on the board, 6.5 years, a long time. And I think this is the first time I've heard a conversation about the achievement gap and reversing it. Now, I don't want that to be taken in the wrong context. It's a focus of this district as a whole to address that, to address the achievement gap, because it's been that way for such a long time. And I can go on record, I believe this is the first time I've heard that with the achievement gap being that close, but actually reversing it. And I didn't know that. So congratulations to you. Job well done. Great presentation. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. And I just want to add too, when we look at that data as well, that doesn't mean like we're just, okay, pat in the back, we're done. Now what are we doing for the flip side to make sure that we have the supports in place for them as well? So we don't ignore any of our data. We're very data driven, and even when we're flipping the achievement gap, we're trying to work back towards getting it even.
Absolutely. All students.
Yes, for all students. Thank you.
Thank you, Cunningham staff. The next item on our agenda is a school presentation from Lowell Elementary School, and I believe we have Carrie Heiserling here. And Carrie and her team will be talking about the amazing things happening at Lowell Elementary School.
No problem.
All right, well, to follow Cunningham, which I am super proud of Cunningham as well, and Eldrika, they've worked super hard to be where they are. We are going to talk about our lighthouse journey. So one of the things that we started several years ago was working on our Leader in Me journey, and this year we decided to go for lighthouse status. And so that has been a journey, and we just wanted to share that with you. We had the people from Franklin Covey come the week before
before spring break. They toured our school, they asked questions, they met with students, all the things, and we won't find out until May whether we actually get lighthouse status, but we are super proud of the work that we've done and ready to find out whether that happens or not. So I brought our two coaches. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get started.
I am Stephanie Peters. I teach first grade.
And my name is Maddie Milks, and I teach third grade.
And they're a little modest, but they also are amazing lighthouse coaches for our building. They co-coach our Leader in Me team and have been absolutely essential in making this this journey come to the fruition of actually being a lighthouse school with that possibility. So we'll get started. So our hashtag is Love Leads Lowell, and our mission statement, we say every morning, we have morning announcers, our students, that's one of our leadership roles. All who walk our halls lead by example. We love, we lead. We are Lowell Elementary. And we truly mean that in everything that we do. Our story, when we started on our leadership journey, we would not have thought about some of the challenges that would have come our way on our journey. So we started with a book study back in the 15-16 school year, and we took a vote on whether we would continue into doing Leader in Me or not, and our staff decided, yes, let's move forward. And so we did, and the following year, our staff was trained in Leader in Me, and we started using the language and following the habits, but it started with just staff. And so then during the 17-18 school year, we started working with our students, and we had started a time in the day called Lead Time, and that is where we introduced the 7 habits to our students, and started making the school, which you'll see in some of the slides later, started making our school just more of a leadership school. You can see students had some say in some of the things that were happening. Unfortunately, the following year in 18-19, as we were just getting moving, we had a challenge at Lowell. Our roof collapsed, and unfortunately, we had to change buildings. But just because we had to change buildings didn't mean we had to change everything we were doing. We actually, as we moved into the AEA and found out that we were going to be there for a while and not just a short time, we actually used what we had learned with Leader in Me to ensure that our students still had some consistency. Our students made posters and we hung those up, and those were all about Leader in Me. We were able to continue with our leadership roles even though we were at a different building. And so we turned the AEA building into our Lowell Elementary because it's not about the building, it's about the people you're with. And we had our families there with us, and it's amazing to me even now to think about that the roof collapsed on a Wednesday, and by Wednesday the following week we had students back in school, and that was with several snow days in between that everybody else got too. So the district, our families, our staff pulled together to make that happen, and that is part of like our leadership journey. That's part of what held us together and part of what kept us moving. And so, unfortunately, the year after that, as we were at the AEA building, now we had to start our new normal of wearing masks and, COVID and all that fun stuff. And again, we had to put a pause on some of our leadership roles simply because we were working to keep kids safe. But we kept doing many of the same things that we had been doing because, again, leadership is not just for when things are going well. Leadership is also for when things are not going so well. And so being able to keep our students feeling like leaders and working towards some of those leadership roles was super important to us to make sure that they continued to be the leaders we knew that they were and always would be. So as we got back to the new Lowell, one of the things we really started to do was work towards making our brand new building a leadership building as well. Our students, as we started building our new school, got some say, which part of Leader in Me is putting student voice in everything. Our students voted on the carpet that we would have at our building, and the teachers wanted me to cheat. Because they did not like the same carpet the students did, but I said, nope, we're not doing that. I'm a rule follower, in case you didn't know. And so we got the carpet that they chose. We brought in chairs, and the students got to sit in several different chairs for a week or so, and then they got to pick the chairs that are in the classrooms. They made the murals that are on the wall, came from their ideas. The words that are in the common areas, those were voted on by our students. So when you walk through our new building, there is student voice in every place in our building, and part of that is because of our Leader in Me journey. So as we move forward through our leadership journey and what got us to where we are today, there are actually 3 runways, and I'm going to start with the first one, leadership, and then Stephanie and Maddie are going to share the other 2. So one of the things we had to do in order to become a lighthouse school is there's a binder of evidence that you have to put together. So some of these slides are from that binder of evidence. It's not really a binder, it's a slideshow that we turn in, but it was like 80, my bad. 89 slides. See, she knows more because she coached us up on this. 89 slides of evidence that went through a rubric that we had to make sure that we had something for every part of the rubric. And so the leadership runway is just one of those pieces. So a couple of ways that we show leadership. This year, Lowell became the first dementia-friendly school in the state of Iowa. Our guidance counselor was trained on on how to become dementia friendly, and then she went to all of our classrooms and did the lesson with them so that our whole school became the first dementia friendly school in the state of Iowa. And so then our student lighthouse team took that and kind of ran with an idea to do a service learning project with some of our local nursing homes. And so I'm currently working with our student lighthouse team, which consists of 3rd through 5th grade students, and I was trying to push them towards us making puzzles to send, because, you know, puzzles, people like to do puzzles. Nope, they really want to collect something to take either for them prizes for bingo, or they really think that they would like DVDs. So I'm working with them on that. We're going to call a couple of nursing homes in the next couple of days to see what they really need, and then we'll kind of see where that goes. But, you know, even sometimes when we try to lead students, they hold tight to what they want, so they definitely are in this. So that's one of our service learning projects and one of the ways that we've shown leadership with our community. The other thing that we've done is we've made dog toys for the Humane Society. Our students and families sent old t-shirts. We cut those up, and then we braided them into dog toys. And took those to the Humane Society. We are also partnered with John Deere. Once a month, our John Deere partners come and have lunch with our students. We call it Leaders Who Lunch, and they come and they talk about with students about what kind of leadership roles they have. The John Deere people talk about with them what kind of leadership roles they have. The students love having one-on-one time with an adult, and we're truly thankful for our John Deere partners. We also have our pen pals with a couple different partners in ed. Grace Fellowship is partnered with our 4th graders, so they pen pal back and forth. Grace Fellowship also brings birthday bags to all of their students, and then in May, they all come. Actually, we'll go there, and they serve us lunch, and then they get to meet their partners. So having community partners is super important. We've also used the UNI dance team to do one of our Sharpen the Saw clubs. So we use Sharpen the Saw clubs, so students get to choose an activity that they want to do or they love to do, and our teachers and staff leading something that they want to do. We've had chess club, dance club, Play-Doh, drawing, you name it, we've probably done it at some point. We've done golf before in the gym. That was interesting. We have a lot of fun, because part of it too is making sure students are having fun and loving what they do, and hopefully we're giving them some ideas of things that they might want to do outside of school someday as well. Our student lighthouse team, as I shared, also does, we create goals with them, and so every month this is their work. I know that sometimes we love our things on the wall to look beautiful beautiful, and I think this is beautiful, but it is absolutely student-made, and I didn't change it. And those are still up in our lunchroom. If you walk in, you'll see our Student Lighthouse team and how they chose to make the goal page. Our Student Lighthouse team members also go into classrooms and share information with the rest of the students and get feedback back from them for what we want to do. That's how we got to the point with our with our service project, because they really, really want to do, like I said, get things for bingo, or they had them vote on it. So anyway, we're going to be just fine. It'll work. So the last thing I was going to share about leadership is just we connect Second Step. Second Step is the social emotional learning piece that the district provides to us. We take that and we integrate that in with our habit of the month. So our team each took a grade level, and we took the habits and we put them in the order we thought that they should be taught in, and then we took the Second Step lessons and intertwined them in where they belong, or where we felt like they fit best, so that through the whole year they're not only getting the leader in me, but they are also getting that Second Step lesson as they go through their day. So you can see that we have buddy classrooms, and they go down with their buddy classrooms, and our lessons are integrated so that we get all of those social emotional learning pieces, and we're working on students teaching students those leadership roles as well.
The next runway is the culture runway, and this speaks to just both the physical and the social emotional environment. We have really worked hard on having student voice in what our physical environment looks like. When you first enter our building, we have our habit tree so that students are reminded of what the habits are so that they can start their day off strong and positive. These are just some of the things that you might see in our building. We have all of the habits hung up in the different hallways. That Hall of Fame, we are lucky enough to have a Lowell Hall of Fame, but we ask students to imagine what kind of leader they'll be when they grow up, and then we have them all hung up on that wall. And so I love to see the students go by and recognize themselves and recognize their friends or classmates of what they might be when they grow up. So that's kind of an exciting wall to see. The other thing that we really work hard on is our social emotional environment. We all have pause spots in our classroom, just a spot for students to take a break when they have big feelings. And we work really hard on making sure that they understand that it's okay to have those feelings, and it's okay that you're in a safe space to take that break. We also make sure that they know that there are safe people, so if they need somebody that's not just their classroom teacher to go have a conversation with, that they can choose to take a cougar chat and go have that conversation with that safe person. So we use those pause spots and those cougar chats. We also are connected with yoga. We have yoga come in once a month and teach our students some of those calming strategies and breathing strategies. And so we use those within our pause spots as well. Some of the other pieces that we do are leadership events. So we've done Leader in Me family nights where we've had students teach our families what the habits are and some activities that they can take back home with them to showcase the habits and help make sure that the habits aren't just stopping at school, but that they're coming home with them and the families are putting them together. So we've had families create mission statements. We've had families create their own sharpen the saw ideas. So just some different things that they could learn about the habits and then bring them home. We also do a monthly family event of some kind with the PTO. We also have action teams with all of our staff. All of our staff is on an action team of some kind that helps move Leader in Me forward, whether that's with our lessons, whether that's with our student lighthouse, whether that's with our assemblies, whether that's with our cultural, physical environment. All staff are fully involved with the Leader in Me. And then we have amazing leadership roles for the students, and they love to be a part of that. We encourage all students to be a part of a leadership role, whether that's in the building or in their classroom. And we try to give them the opportunity several times a year to try something different, or within their classroom on a regular basis.
All right, and the last piece that we have to talk about is the academics runway. The first piece of this that we've really driven home this school year, and we started last year, is student-led conferences. Now, we would love to say that this whole process has been butterflies and rainbows, but obviously with everything that you present to the staff, there's going to be a little bit of pushback. Student-led conferences did get a little bit of pushback because as a classroom teacher, I'm like, wait, but when do I get to say my piece about it? So even as a Lighthouse coordinator, it was kind of for me to be like, okay, this is very important. It's important for my kids to own it. If I need to say something at the end, I can sneak it in, but it really was awesome to see our kids grow. There was a parent interview on our Lighthouse Day, and every single parent brought up student-led conferences and how they appreciated getting to see their student talk about themselves in the fall and then talk about themselves in the spring. So see their growth, see how they grow, talking about themselves too, because in the fall I have kids come in and they're all of a sudden mute in front of their parents and their teacher, and I'm like, no, you don't stop talking during the day. So I'm confused, but so then they get more comfortable in the spring, and it's really awesome to see. So getting staff to kind of buy into that took a minute, but it was good. Just some more pictures of conferences. Their student leadership binders are something that we've really done a good job of implementing this school year for sure, so they get to use those. And then it honestly makes conference prep really easy because all of the stuff's just in their leadership binders. Another huge piece is our Lowell wig catcher. So we have clear Lowell letters, and then they get filled up with pom-poms. We have larger ones for grade level and building wide, and then smaller ones for individual goals. And Carrie is so kind as to take time out of her day to go to every lunch, at least once a month. And if they reached their math goal or their FAST goal or attendance goal in that grade level, then they get to put a pom-pom in the Lowell letters. So watching those get filled up is really fun. And students are pumped to be able to put them in for their own personal goals as well. And then we just have some more examples of WIG goals around our building. Those are pictures of some of my students in the middle. They're sharing their leadership binders with each other before conferences to practice with a peer, which is really awesome. Just some more pictures of stuff from their leadership binders. Again, the academic piece of their leadership binder, they can track stuff, they can put tests in there, but it's also their binder. So I say, here's your math test, but they can put it wherever they feel, again, giving them voice. Just some more practicing of student-led conferences and then setting goals with them as well. Some more classroom goals posted places. WIG goals, and then all of our WIG goals we share with students, and these are connected back to our building SIP plan, just to make sure attendance is a big piece for everybody, so we're really pushing that, and then just filling up those Lowell letters has been really awesome too to see. Did you want me to okay. So this is our last slide, our hope. This was at the end of our slideshow for the Franklin Covey people. It's been a long journey. I am this is my second year of teaching, and I knew coming into Lowell that it was a Leader in Me driven building, and I knew that it was a place that I wanted to be, and that the legacy of the roof collapse and the moving, like I was not there for that, but I can see how it's fueled Lowell's leadership journey and becoming Lighthouse. So everybody cross your fingers and your toes for May. That's when we find out if we get Lighthouse status, and then we'll celebrate as a building and with our families. So you guys are all invited when we celebrate. But yes, that is all that we have.
Any questions for us?
Your Hall of Fame is pretty amazing. A great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
And I remember, if I remember right, you have a couple of prominent leadership people on that. I think Dan Gable's in that group, I do believe, and there's a high-ranking military general or something in that group. I forget.
I should know. His name is David. I'll have to think of his last name, but yes, you are
Yeah.
correct.
Just the idea of like maybe asking any of those from leadership, from Hall of Fame.
And Judge Odekirk as well.
Yes.
Judge Odekirk, yeah.
Yep.
Maybe asking some of the people from the Hall of Fame come back and talk about leadership to the students maybe.
Yeah, I love that idea. We
I
definitely
just
could
felt
do
like,
that.
because it's very unique. I mean, of all the buildings I've been in, it's been one of unique, for elementary to have a Hall of Fame
Yes,
was,
doesn't happen very often.
and quite the cross section, so it's pretty,
Abel has come back and he's signed some of his books and left
Yeah.
them in our library for us, so.
well, that's fantastic, you know. And I think the dear leadership, I've been fortunate to be able to take
Yes.
part in a few of those over the years, even going back when you were at the temporary AEA site, and those are always, I've always enjoyed the visits there, so I think those are great, and glad you're able to have that partnership to continue and help grow the students, and, you know, each time it's a different cross-section of students, and you always, for me, I always get to learn something from a different perspective, so.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else?
I was interested in the different clubs, Sharpen the Saw Club or the golf or the social emotional. Does this occur in the morning during a certain segment of time, or when do these activities occur?
So you typically, so we have a time in the day, it's win time, what I need, and typically that is, we take that time of the day. So usually it's from 2:45 till the end of the day, so it's about 45 minutes. And so we do it, like, that's when we would do our assemblies, that's when we do our Sharpen the Saw clubs, so that we're always getting the core instruction in. So if we're missing something, it's the little extra that they're missing. And again, we don't enjoy that they miss that extra learning time, but we do think that it's important for our students to see the overall, because it's more than just about reading, writing, and math. It's also about making sure students enjoy sports or want to be a part of something. So like having the UNI Dance Club team come is awesome. Right now, one of the leadership roles that we have in our building is cheer squad, and our cheer squad person, her name is Erin Yates, she made it so that every single one of our girls could go out to Hawkeye and be a part of the Hawkeye Dance Team Day. Actually, quite a few of our staff sponsored. Many of our students and families couldn't afford to pay $30 to, send their kiddos. So many people on our staff each sponsored a girl, and all of them got to go and be a part of that. And it was pretty amazing, because I think we need to hook them in some way, shape, or form. If it can't be through academics, hook them in another way so that then those academics become important, so they can continue to be a part of that. So
Our philosophy is to give students as much many experiences as possible, and I think that's really important, and I'm happy that you're doing
Thank
that. We're having a work session tomorrow on attendance, absenteeism. I see yours is relatively high. What are you doing?
yeah, so we are continuing to work. So our goal is 94% average daily attendance. That's our goal right now. Last I looked, we were at 91.38, which is not where we want it to be. However, it's still higher than last year, so super excited about that. But I would say a couple of things. We have a building-wide goal, and we talk about it with students, but we also have individual teams that are doing some kind of incentive with students. So our building-wide, they have to be there all day, every day to get that, but like, for example, 5th grade, because they have an interesting one. So they have a unicorn named Glenda. I can't remember. So Glenda has balloons, like 15 balloons, and they know that their students can miss 15 days in the week and still have 94% average daily attendance. So every day then there's a dragon, and she has a name too, and I apologize, I can't remember, but every time a student's absent, the dragon comes and pops one of Glenda's balloons. So if at the end of the week there's even one balloon left up on the board, then they celebrate with some extra free time or they might get cookies or something. But every grade level is doing something a little bit different. That's just one example from 5th grade. So trying to make it fun, like, right, in order to get students to come to school, there has to be a relationship. And I'll be honest, like, when they know, like, here's an example. We were doing Sharpen the Saw clubs, and a mom came to get her daughter, and her daughter was like crying and did not want to leave. So mom was like, I'm gonna let her stay. And I was like, yes, you know. So it is those things, though, that get them there and keep them there because they want to be a part of it. So I think all of those things combined are what's making the biggest difference for our attendance. And we know we still have some work to do there, but we definitely are better than we were last year.
So other than illness, what would be the number one reason that students aren't there?
Unfortunately, it's probably just parental request for just lots of different reasons. Unfortunately, we hear things like, oh, we're going to get our hair done, or we're getting haircuts, or, you know, it is unfortunately things like that. Every now and again, it's a longer family vacation, especially for some of our students who are from other countries. They might go out of the country over winter break or spring break, and so they miss a week before and maybe a week after. But I would say just on the daily, it's more about, unfortunately, parents, and I don't want to say that they don't think school is important, because I don't believe that, but I think maybe we just haven't, since COVID, I feel like it's gotten worse because they missed all of those days, and they still passed, they still went on, right, to the next grade. So how do we make it so that they understand that every day is important, and we need them there, and some of those things can get done outside of school hours. But
So one last question that
Sure.
you may not be able to answer, but is there any way, some of these, if you go on vacation, these can be rich experiences for the kid.
Absolutely.
So in terms of learning, that might be very valuable. Is there any way to credit?
I don't know that I can answer that. I can tell you that if parents give us the heads up, like that they are going, I don't know that I should say this out loud, but I'm going to. We do try to, if they are going to have access to the internet, we do send their Chromebook with them, and we give them things to do. Because if they can get on their Google Classroom, which is where teachers are putting those assignments, like, they can get on there and do that. And so we have definitely sent Chromebooks with them. We don't get on face-to-face with them, but they have access to all of the assignments. They can still do ST Math. They can still get on Pebble Go and things like that, and do all of those things. So if parents give us a heads up, we do try to make sure that we send things with so that they don't get behind. Because I agree with you, Lyle. I think some of those things that students are able to do, that's why I think Life Labs is so amazing, right? Because kids get to do things that they wouldn't normally get to do, and I think you can learn just as much being in another country for a couple of weeks as you absolutely could during the school day. So
Thank you
I
so
agree
much
with you.
for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I
that.
would say you have an additional challenge. I don't remember what the attendance number for, but you probably got, two classes that have kids that were at the on-site location left, 4th and 5th grade. So, I'm sure absenteeism didn't help when we were so far away from their homes.
Absolutely.
And then you bring them back in, but you still got to kind of reculture everything a little bit from that too. So you got not just COVID, but, you still got probably some lingering from the relocation as well.
Just trying to get that all together. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that, but I would guess that might be accurate.
I thought I just did the numbers. I think your 4th and 5th graders are the last two groups that would have been there, not necessarily the last two families, but the last two student groups that would have been
Yep,
there.
at the AEA building, yeah. Gosh, it's crazy to think like how long ago that was, and yet it seems like sometimes yesterday, so.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
To you guys. This is amazing. I'm excited to see. And yes, everything's crossed. So,
Thank you.
but just what you put together, it's really impressive. And thank you for sharing it.
Thank you. Thank you all, appreciate you.
Great presentation. Oh, I'm like, what's going on? The next item on our board agenda is a board celebration, the West High Wallhawk Insider Update. And I believe we have Nicole Goodman, English teacher from West High and the yearbook advisor. West High's Wallhawk Insider magazine editors, along with advisor Nicole Goodman, will provide an update and share some of their most recent work.
Yay, it worked this time. It's really cool to see some of our young leaders in the Waterloo Community Schools and then think about it at the high school level and look at some of our seniors, say our senior leaders, see them just like months away, or actually at this point, weeks away from graduation. I know, it makes me sad too. So we were here just before spring break to celebrate one of our student journalists, Allie Parkers, for winning Iowa Journalist of the Year. And today we have two of our seniors who have taken on a huge leadership role this year with Wallhawk Insider, and they really wanted to come celebrate that. So I'm going to pass it off to them and let them take the show.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm a senior. I'm Mallory, and I'm a senior. So some updates are, if you didn't know, we started print publication back in November, and we are now the co-print editors. And we've gone through a lot of trial and error. So what we noticed after, our second publication was that not everybody was, super, they had skills in different areas. So we decided to come up with a guide with requirements and then some applications to see where everybody was strongest. So we could see who was stronger at designing and who was stronger at writing, and then also have requirements for things like font and etc. So for our process, we usually go through we do quarterly magazines, so we go through everything that has been published to our online website in that quarter, and we put it all on a table of contents slide. We also pull things that are in the process of being written at the moment that might be done by the time that we need to print the magazine. We decide and make choices and then present it to the class, and we kind of have a group discussion of what articles we feel strongly about, what articles we want to have, maybe some different ideas. We also assign a coverage, the person that designs the cover and goes through that whole process. Here's what our kind of folder looks like. We use Canva to design and upload everything. So when students log on, they can see what spreads are in progress and what each spread kind of looks like. We have had news briefs for all of our spreads. So this was our Q3 spread news brief, is what it kind of looks like when somebody's working on it. Each little piece you can add and design. From this, we also assign rough drafts, and me and Mallory have check-ins with each student to make sure that they're caught up and staying on top of our dates. We also leave comments on the Canva spreadsheets that if they need help with anything, or if we point out that they might need improvement in a certain area, they can go back and reference those comments.
So this is the cover of our Q2 magazine. So the cover story we decided to choose was over the new legislature over preventing children from having, different names, and also teaching like LGBT topics in schools. So this shows our website, and then you can kind of flip through. These are this is the cover story, and we decided to go with a story about a student named Percy who was currently in a lawsuit against the state, and so we just thought it was interesting, and because it was also very relevant. But at the time when we actually had some issues with our publisher,
The printing company took a lot longer than we thought it would. So by the time we actually got our magazines, some of the information was a little bit outdated. So we had to include a insert just to tell everybody that there was an update. So there were, they put a pause on the book banning, which was a part of the article that Lucy and I wrote. Yeah.
So we just wrapped up our quarter 3 magazine, and we decided to do a cover story about about beauty standards that one of our juniors, Kaylin Crawford, wrote. We are planning to have distributions for it next week, hopefully, if the print comes in. For this quarter, we explored a lot with photography. That was something that we wanted to try to get more into, because we used a lot of pictures that maybe people from yearbook had been taking. So this is kind of what our cover story looks like. She kind of pulled samples from other people to get like things, and she also made it interactive for the students that get to read the magazine. They can write things about them. But you can see that she used photography and different design elements that we explored. So for quarter 4, we're gonna start brainstorming for some cover ideas. But as we were preparing for quarter 3, we were thinking of other ideas that we wanted to do for the cover magazine, and we came across the attendance issue. So we're thinking of having that be something that we want to take on for the quarter 4 magazine. We did a video about it, of how Waterloo Schools has a low attendance, so I think it'd be something that we're both passionate about that we want to write.
So we're also just working on figuring out what kind of stories we would like to add, and see if we would be able to afford to add more pages so we can have more spreads and more stories in our next issue. So for the rest of the year, we plan to have quarter 4 and then also quarter 3 printouts and handed out. We also need to start planning, sadly, for print editors for next year. So try to find out, who would be a good candidate. We are also looking forward to doing collaborations with UNI's Uprising magazine, because they reached out and they said that they would like to, so we are very excited for that. And also reaching out to partners in Ed and Waterloo Schools Foundation to get help and increase page count and or quantity of printing, because currently we only can afford to print 250 copies, which both times so far have sold out completely, so we're very excited.
So kind of just some overall Wallhawk Insider updates. For our online editor positions, we have an editor-in-chief, Tyler Hall. We also have a news and sports editor, Allie Parkers, and then an opinion and entertainment editor, Kaylin Crawford. And then we have a features and multimedia editor, Allie Knight. It also is contest season for us, so we are participating in the IHSPA Spring Contest. So we're determining whether or not we are going to be a news team finalist again. For our snow distribution, we're a snow distinguished site, so we're working on finishing our multimedia badges. We also are a small group. We have a small group that's going to be attending a national convention to win multiple awards. That will be next week in Kansas City. So we have a lot of growth going on, and so we're sending out more applications for the next school year. Our journalism elective at West is growing. There's more students that are kind of hearing about what we have to offer. So either if that's our journalism elective or our yearbook or online publications class, the program overall is growing. Yeah, that's all we have. Any questions?
I just want to make a comment that that's a great presentation and excellent work and very, very proud alumni. I think there's a couple of spectator folk here up on the dais that were on the newspaper back in the day, and to say how lucky and jealous we are that you get to use software like that when we used to use X-Acto knives and get wax all over our hands. That little tiny that little tiny teacher's lounge on the second floor was the room with the light tables where we used to do that. So, and I also know that all of you are leaders in other things, like congratulations, Mallory, on playing great in your trumpet quartet on Friday and getting a Division I. So these students are not just doing one thing at a time, folks. They are doing multiple things and achieving in multiple ways. So we are just so proud of you and what you've done. Thank you for your presentation.
Did you guys bring one of the last magazine?
Esther's
Is
got
it?
it.
Oh, okay.
I have my copy.
I just
You
want to
prob-
get, I have one at home too that she snuck in, sorry.
Yeah,
She
so
snuck
I-
one home, but.
I feel pretty blessed to be one of the 250 people to receive one of these. Not yet, I will. Autograph.
So
Those are a few of my
how do you distribute them?
So for our first distribution, we kind of set up during passing time. We wanted to host it where the most students would be able to have the opportunity, but that's kind of hard with upperclassmen being out of the building and things like that. So we held it in between passing time from 7th and 8th hour, and in those 4 minutes, we got rid of all of the magazines. For our last distribution that we just did, we were on the 2nd floor instead of the 3rd floor, next to the IMC after school, and we got rid of maybe 3/4, but that gave us an opportunity to go in during the lunches to go get a different target of students that weren't able to attend after school. We're not sure what we're going to do for Q3 distribution yet, but we're probably going to have a different plan so that way we can spread the magazine out for different students.
So do you charge for them, or are they gratis?
Right now, they're all free.
So like a grant might be great so they can publish more than 250, which would be a great skill for these students to learn how to write a grant proposal. Right, Mallory?
I'm not sure I'm getting what you're saying. What are you saying?
That is good. And I'm jealous of your Canva profile. Mine is very minimal. So we know how much work you guys put into this. Job well done. Great job on the presentation and all you do. Yes.
I don't think I have anything else. Thank you all.
Thank you. It's always hard to transition from board celebrations, especially when our students are doing such amazing things. I did not.
As you were doing a great segue.
Yeah, I did. Thanks. So the next item on our agenda is the graduation dates for the Waterloo Community School District High Schools class of 2025. Graduation dates for each respective class, 2025, have been established and are as follows. Expo Alternative Learning Center at Expo High School, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. West High School at the McLeod Center on UNI's campus, Wednesday, May 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. East High School at McLeod Center on the campus of University of Northern Iowa, Thursday, May 29th, 2025 at 6 p.m. And this is for information only. Is there any questions or comments on those?
Coming fast.
Very fast. Okay, moving right along. The next item on our agenda is information from individuals and delegations. And I believe we have someone registered to.
We do, you can still invite them up,
So I invite you now to the podium.
and then just mention that this is just for
Yep.
the regular meeting.
And this is just for the regular meeting. We will have another meeting, session at 6:30. So this is an opportunity where those who wish to address the school board may do so. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Ms. Arndorfer will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining. Up here. And a red card when your time has expired. At that time, I will ask you to conclude your public comments. Please also keep your comments respectful and constructive. We're all here with the goal of trying to help our students. Please also avoid criticizing the job performance of specific employees of the school district. Personnel matters are confidential and must be handled through proper channels and not in a public forum. Finally, we provide this as an opportunity for public comments, but it's generally not a back and forth, especially if items not on the agenda. At times, we'll try to help if we can with information before or after the meeting, but we have to proceed with our board meeting agenda items. With that, I invite anyone who wishes to address the board, please come forward and start by stating your name and your address.
I'm Tracy Richmond, 2543 Saratoga Drive. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am a social studies teacher at Central Middle School. I'm here before you as the chief negotiator for the WEA, representing the teaching professionals of the Waterloo Community School District. As we approach the beginning of bargaining, please consider that the most critical factor in a student's academic success is the quality of the teacher at the front of their classroom. Attracting and retaining high-quality professionals takes a concerted effort and a focus on providing a good working environment. Our working environment is a student's learning environment. When we enter into contract negotiations, please consider that our master contract is only 8 pages long and stripped of more than 47 essential bargaining topics. By contrast, Muscatine Schools contains 55 pages, Davenport 43 pages, Sioux City 42 pages, Des Moines 41, and Ottumwa includes 40 pages of topics regarding the conditions under which employees work. As you can see, many school boards continue to respect their employees with clearly defined topics under which we all work. By not having some of the items that have been removed from our contract written down, it leaves so many situations open to interpretation, and although we appreciate the hard work and effort shown by the district in working with us, it becomes problematic when new administrations follow prior ones when little is written down in the way of contracts and handbooks. The district has used past practice in many instances, but we may not always have access to that institutional memory. We owe it to the people that follow us to lead them with working solutions that are written down and known by all parties. A strong master contract brings workplace stability by establishing clear and legally binding expectations, procedures, and rules. It also becomes a competitive advantage when retaining good employees and attracting new ones. Employees nationwide should expect clear, legally binding expectations, rules, and benefits for professional work. Waterloo Schools should be no different. Overall, a well-crafted master contract and employee handbook are valuable assets for any employer. They contribute to a more organized, efficient, and legally compliant workplace that foster positive employer-employee relations. A robust and healthy work environment is a strong and healthy student learning environment. Our students, families, employees deserve the respect and economic health a good master contract and employee handbook provide. Please work with us as we seek to rebuild our master contract and employee handbook. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge just a few people in the audience today, my wonderful colleagues that have all showed up in support. Our president, Jody Baller, my co-chair, Jamie Oberhoy. Sitting next to her is Nicole Earl. She will also be on the team with us when we begin negotiations. Julie Molis and Don Webicki in the back row over here, Stephanie Giacchino, and Nathan Nebby from East High. So we look forward to that, and more to follow, I guess.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Chapman. My address is 2761 Deer Road, Waterloo. I come to you today to express my opinion as a member of the community with family that's been teaching for generations. I've come to the conclusion over the last 4 or 5 school years that the quality of education has been in serious decline. Now, there's many reasons for that. Some of them are due to employee or teacher issues. Some of them are due to the parents themselves and students themselves. But what I've really found that should be done that is not being done, the board is not paying attention to accountability. It's really easy to maybe try and throw money at something without actually getting down to the real issues. We're coming into several new projects that the school board wants to go forth with. Potentially a new high school and renovations and new athletic fields and all of those things, which are great. However, the base problems are not being addressed in this school district. The problems with the way students are treating their teachers. We're allowing things to happen in schools that progressively become the norm. And I think this board needs to find some way to dedicate some time, effort, and resources to try and fix those problems, as opposed to what athletic field might be best or what new shiny thing we can acquire. There's always obviously going to be those infrastructure needs that need to be met as well. But myself and I believe many members of the community, as well as teaching staff themselves, would like to see this board address those issues that will not only provide a better quality work environment for the teachers and staff at these locations. It will provide a better education for the students who wish to be there, and it should eliminate many of the problems with those that don't wish to be there. You know, obviously the board members and myself and probably many members of the community come from a little bit older generation where things were a little bit different, and we always like to reminisce about that. But I really think that many of those values should still be instilled in our schools today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes. My name is Forrest Dillevue. I live at 1725 Huntington Road, up near where the new high school is going to be, and the Career Center is. The Career Center is a wonderful thing. It's grown through the years. It is tremendous. My concern is over this piece of land that you folks have either bought or plan to buy. My first notice of this was in the paper, where it stated you were going to buy it, and it stated a price and a seller, and that you were the buyer. Totally shocked me. When they said this is not in the floodplain, I, having lived there over 50 years, was shocked, because I know this piece of property is in the floodplain. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it. And as I heard what you were going to do with it, and of course there's rumors running rampant in my neighborhood about what you're going to do with it. This is basically a holding pond for rainwater from University Avenue down to Huntington Road. All of that water shed up there runs into this field, one way or another. Some of it goes down the road ditch, but all of the streets just north of this piece of property empty into that piece of property into a cement bottom waterway, open waterway. When the creek is up, all that water going into that field and into that entire area cannot get through the levee. There is no lift station or anything to take care of that flood water. It does not go underground. It is on top of the ground. Anything you do with this property, if you pave it, if you rock it, anything you do to slow down the water from going into the ground is going to run in our basements, on our streets. It's going to flood our homes. Right today, we've had 2 years of drought. It looks fine. And but I can tell you, when it rains hard, it runs across Huntington Road out of the field that you're buying. It also floods Wren Road and Garden Avenue. You can float a boat in there. One of my friends in the neighborhood says, if I can find it, I got a picture of the kids floating on an inner tube out there. That's how wet this piece of ground is that you're buying. This piece of ground, according to Blackhawk County, is assessed at $51,220. In 2019, it sold for $185,000. That was because someone had bought it and changed their mind about building on it. I think partially because they found out how much of it was in the floodplain. you have or will spend $729,800 on this piece of property. It's outrageous. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Glenn Anderkay. I live at 316 Prospect Boulevard. Waterloo doesn't need a new high school. It's got two good ones. But if you want to have one, why don't you put it in the middle of the city, not on a suburb or off the side. There might even be houses there, but that's okay. They can be moved, and the people that would sell their house would probably be honored to have a high school built on their property. They might even give it to you. The other thing is, what's wrong with our school system? When I moved into town in the late 60s and early 70s, Iowa had the best education system in the United States. They ranked with their testing systems of kids graduating high school, grade school, college, universities, and PhDs. Now we're where? The bottom half of the nation? You want a new building? Buildings don't make students successful. It makes them a nice place to sit around. It's great to show on a tour. But until Waterloo school systems can have 100% participation in their schools, kids wanting to go to school, until they can get at least 90% graduation rate in high school or better, and maybe 50 or 60% of kids going to college and getting a PhD or a MS or even a BS or becoming a certified trade technician, whether that be master carpenter or plumber or electrician. I don't think you should build anything new and fix what you got.
Sir, can you say your name again? We didn't catch your name.
Glenn Anderkay, 316 Prospect Boulevard, 50701, in case you get confused between the Avenue, Boulevard, Circle.
Noted. Thank you. Appreciate it. Seeing no others. I think they're leaving. Seeing no other public comments, we'll take a brief recess. So can I get a motion to go into recess?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are in recess.
Who moved and seconded? Glenn Anderkay. Okay. Did you move?
Huh?
Did you move?
I moved. Are we going once in or leave?
No, we'll stay in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long we got on recess?
board meeting to, can we get a motion to call the special board meeting to order?
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
we're good. We just call it to order.
Call to order.
That too then.
So, agenda item, public hearing for the 2024-2025 budget certification. The state of Iowa has changed the process for school districts to certify their annual budget. Part of that change requires school districts to submit their maximum property tax to the county treasurer no later than March 15th. The certified budget is the product of the foundation aid formula furnished by the Iowa Department of Management as directed by the state legislature. The budget incorporates the instructional support program and a cash reserve levy consistent with the goals for the financial condition of the district as outlined in board policy. The foundational component of the budget is the enrollment of students multiplied by the state mandated cost allocation per pupil. At this time, we'll open it up for public comment. And if you wish to address the board, if you can please come up to the podium, make sure the green light is on, and state your name and physical address. And you have 3 minutes. Our board secretary, Pam Arndorfer, will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining,
I better speak fast.
and a red card, when your time is expired. And at that time, I will ask you to conclude your comments.
I made a few copies so each of you could have one of these. Can you hear me okay? Yes.
Yes.
My name is Pat Meehl, M-U-E-H-L. I live at 1104 South Evans Road in Evansdale. I am here to protest the Waterloo Community School District proposed budget and the deceptive example of the taxation change on the mailed notice of public hearing. Your information lulls the taxpayer into thinking our property tax bill will be less, even though you are raising our tax levy. I fear thousands of residents will have heart failure when they open their tax bill this fall. You should have adjusted the property value of the 2024 example to properly reflect the increase based on the Blackhawk County assessor's new valuation. Does everyone remember receiving your new assessment value last year? This new value will be used to calculate my home increased 32%. I learned from the county auditor that some properties went up more, some less. You may want to check the Blackhawk County website to prepare yourself for a substantial tax increase. My home built in 1977 is pretty average. My Evansdale neighborhood is also average. Computing my taxes, now here's your new math lesson. I multiply 132,000, my percentage increase on your example home, times 46.3428%, which is the 2024 state rollback, divided by 1,000, and multiply the result by the proposed tax rate of 13.97947, which equals $855.15, a 20% increase over the $730 Waterloo Community School District portion for last year, not 11.23% decrease shown on the mailing I received. I'm just glad I haven't made any improvements, as the increase would be even worse. I'm on the board of a nonprofit 38-unit multifamily housing project for low to moderate income people. Our assessed value increased, ready? 117%.
Ms. Mule, I'm going to ask you to conclude your comments. If you have some information to get to the board, we will take that as well.
Can I get somebody to read the rest of this?
If you have it,
I have it all written out, and
Yes.
I'm close to being done. Could I go ahead and? just get an extension for just a few minutes?
If you conclude it, we can get that information. Our board secretary will make copies and all of our
Okay.
board members can get it,
Okay.
if you only have one copy. It
No,
shouldn't
I
give you
made
the-
several.
Okay. Yep,
With a
that'll
public
work.
notice, is there any discussion at all that we can give, or no? Okay. So I can just say that, please meet me later?
You want to meet later?
Yes, I'm very happy to speak after the meeting.
Okay. I think this is
And if you
enough
have any,
topics to go around.
and if you have any questions or comments, our information is published. So you can also contact our board secretary and she can get some more information to us if need be.
Okay, because
All
I
right.
do have a couple of things on there I thought you might want to look at, so I hope you will read the balance of my presentation.
We
Thank
will.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good evening. All right, my name's Michael Chapman, 2761 Deer Road. I also am devastated by the proposed property tax settlement. And on here it says that the proposed rate is to replace lost federal funding, and the increase is needed to maintain programs and offset inflation. Yeah, absolutely. I wish all of us in this room and on fixed incomes could also offset inflation, but we can't. The lost federal funding, when that was initiated for COVID, everyone was well aware that it was only going to be temporary. I find it fiscally irresponsible for the school board to use those funds in a future budget. When I was 25, I played a scratch ticket and I won myself $2,500. Back then, that was probably about 15% of my gross annual income. I did not plan on winning $2,500 in the lottery every year after that, and I don't think that it's responsible for the school board to take those funds into consideration either. Granted, there are cost increases all around the board. However, I think those are probably better dealt with by getting rid of some of the expenditures that aren't necessary, or things that are nice to have, but we don't need to have them. We're going into a proposed new high school. That's a pretty big expense. I know the numbers aren't really out there in the wild yet, but I think when people finally figure out how much it's going to cost, they're going to be shocked as well. I don't think that as the public, it is our responsibility to pay for this board's fiscal irresponsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to address the board?
Greetings again. My name is Glenn Anderkay, 316 Prospect Boulevard. I agree with what the earlier people both say, so I will not repeat it, but consider myself repeating it, because sometimes you have to hear the same message more than once before it sinks in. If the board wants more money, then have better performance. If you work for somebody and you do a lousy job, you get less pay or you don't get a pay raise. You might even get fired. Well, that don't happen in public education, but maybe it should. My proposal is simple. Double the number of graduates from high school and college. And if you want a couple more bucks a year out of assessment, I don't think you'd find anybody in the city to say no. But at your current rate of success, or let's say lack of success, the only proposition I see that I'm willing to support is decrease your budget. Because you must be wasting money somehow by by spending money for not getting performance out of the graduation class of either high school or any of the grade schools when your national rating or your state rating is on the slide. So give me a tax break and get better performance, and we will support you 1,000,000%.
Thank you, sir.
Forrest Dillavue, 1725 Huntington Road, longtime Waterloo resident. After I graduated high school and got married, I decided I wanted to live in Waterloo. I moved here. And I'm disappointed. I went to the county courthouse and I asked them about this statement that was sent to my house, first one we've ever got. Our legislators decided that we needed to know what was going on so we could speak. And what he told me, he said, with these new evaluations, what we put in the paper that we sent you shows a minus. It's not going to be a minus. With all these reevaluations, everybody is going to be paying a lot more taxes. And here you are asking more on top of that property value increase. To me, you're just going to fill your pockets, and you can do more wasteful spending like that holding pond that you're buying at the end of Huntington and Katowski. And I would like to, I'll talk to somebody afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Christensen, 1702 East Mitchell. I have the statement here. I don't suppose anybody can ask questions on that because it's probably, you don't have a copy of it. All of us here have to live on a budget. The expenses that we're going through right now has been enormous. Gas, food, inflation. The school does not need to be built, and I don't approve of one school for both sides of east and west. There's competition now. Unless you intend to move the police department inside the new school, then that's what you're going to have. Because you have competition now, you're going to have chaos later on. There's a couple, three things on this that isn't even explained on here. But my taxes have gone up tremendously in the last few years, or at least since I bought my property. And the second plank of the Communist Manifesto is taking property away. And if you keep increasing to the point where we can no longer live in our house, what's the alternative? Because I have no other place to go. So you people need to limit your spending, and if all of this is going to things like that over there, which obviously is for Evansdale, so some of the funds are going there. We had the casino that was supposed to be lowering property taxes. I see it going to other things than property tax relief. You have the different schools here in Waterloo. They're building new schools. We have the option tax, and to me that was never, should have been put in either. So I didn't agree with that. But I just think that you people need to look at things in a different light and realize that the rest of us out here are suffering somewhat. And you need to do with the schools what you have there and leave it go at that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you all that came and spoke. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Now we'll take a brief recess and then we'll, oh, can I get a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. We'll take a brief recess until we can get back to the original agenda. board meeting back to order. We do need to pull item 2 off of the consent agenda. Yeah. So we'll pull item 2 off of the consent agenda. So, correct, the personnel appointments and adjustments. So tonight's consent agenda consists of 7 items: approval of minutes from the February 26, 2024 regular board meeting and the March 7, 2024 special board meeting, bills due and payable and paid between board meetings, Area Education Agency AEA Food Purchasing Agreement 2324, publication of notice of intent for construction manager at risk CMR, public utility easement agreement with the City of Waterloo, request for proposal for photography services, and setting the date of public hearing for the East High Auditorium and pool roof replacement project. Are there any items that board members want to pull?
5 and 7.
Item 5 and item 7. I'll pull item 4.
So 2, 4, 5, 7?
So can we get a motion for items 1, 3, 6, and 8?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now for discussion. I put item 4. Just a question, and it may not be.
Do we need on the motion on it first?
Oh, can I get a, let me find it. Is it on? 35. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the contract between Waterloo Schools and the Area Education Agency for food purchasing during the 24-25 school year as outlined.
So moved.
Second.
And I pull this, and this may not be the question, but what is the difference between this agreement and an agreement to, does this have any effect on what to purchase or just where we purchasing?
This is similar to what we've done in the past, a continuing relationship that we've had to purchase at a discount through the AEA. It doesn't limit what we're purchasing.
Okay, yep. So that was my question. It's to purchase, not what to purchase.
That is correct.
Okay.
Aren't we is there a second consortium we're in as well for food purchase as well?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know Heather knows all that and kind of coordinates all that. so
Yeah,
we can
I
work
seem
with
like every
different
time we have to
consortiums.
prove periodically.
Yeah,
there's
for
a consortium.
different commodities, yes.
Yes.
Well, as I read it, commitment to buy and participate, it says the eligible member agrees to purchase 60% of its food and supplies from the vendor selected. So we are,
We're locked in on quantity, but it's not dictating what we have to buy.
Right. Yep. My question was, what do we have to purchase? And not,
so just 60% if we choose to buy that particular commodity?
Yes.
Okay.
Any idea if this is going to be impacted with new legislation for the new AEA legislation coming? Have we heard
I
anything?
have no idea. Sorry.
Okay.
any more questions? All those of approving the superintendent's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to item,
Did you pull 2 as well? We kind of skipped that.
yeah,
Personnel, I have to go back and do.
no, we still have to do, the one Stacy put 5 and 7.
Yeah. No, we need to go up and, it was pulled off the consent agenda, we still need to approve.
Oh, I thought we were doing that after.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, I thought we were gonna do it after, okay,
So back to personnel.
gotcha.
All right, just one quick change for the personnel under the resignations category under classified staff. The first individual listed there, changing the resignation date to the end of the school year. So that's, don't know if I'm pronouncing the first name correctly, but Ameshi Ross. So instead of it being 4/15, the resignation date will be end of the school year.
Okay.
Oh,
So just
So-
change, do we need to amend?
so is that a June 29th or a June 6th?
I'm not sure. I think on those, we just put end of 23-24. Like if you look above on the resignations in the certified category.
Just
Mhm.
as end of.
They're all different dates.
Not the ones above.
Oh, gotcha. Into
Yep.
23, 24. Okay,
Mhm. Yep.
okay. So we'll make that amendment. So all those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation,
If I can get a motion on.
Yeah, so just read, go ahead and read
the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the personnel items as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. I believe Stacy pulled item 5.
Yes.
Can we get the recommendation?
Do you want me to just read it?
Please, if you have it.
The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the publication of a notice of intent to engage the services of a construction manager at risk, CMAR, and the subsequent issuance of a request for qualifications, RFQ, and request for proposals, RFP.
So moved.
Second.
And I believe we have Kate Payne from Envision Architecture that could help. And then we have our CEO, Jeff Summerfeld.
Glad to answer any questions.
So can you just kind of explain more what they will be doing? It talks about that they're going to look at the in-depth exploration of the feasibility and cost. Like, are they starting now? What exactly are they looking at? What's the scope of the job?
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
The process is laid out by the state, by state law, and how this process can work. So for the school district to engage a construction manager at-risk process, the whole process takes about 9 months from the day you issue 9 weeks, sorry, from the day you issue that notice of intent to the day you actually go to contract with them.
Okay.
So the intent is that the notice of intent goes out, you tell the public you're going to do this, then you send out that RFQ, which allows the school district to review construction managers and see which ones make sense for your particular project. You go through a review process. It has to sit out there and give them time to respond. And then the next step from there is that you put out another request for proposals where they actually give you their fee to do the work that you have asked them to do. The proposal would be written to ask them to join the school district and the project team to evaluate constructability, construction costs, construction schedule, those kinds of things that the contractor brings a different perspective than the design team. And then the rest of their role is to actually coordinate and evaluate potential bidders. They actually go through a qualifications and process for the bidders on the project too. It's long and it takes a while, and the sooner it gets in place on a project, the more value they bring potentially. But I think the thing that you need to know is that to even get them on board takes a minimum of 9 weeks.
So is this just a person, or is this a firm, like?
It's a notice of intent. All it says is that the school district intends to go through this process that I just described to you.
Right.
To bring a construction manager at risk on board for the high school project.
And that would be, I mean, what I'm trying to ask is that's a person outside of like.
It's a contractor. It's a.
Okay, okay, it's the contractor. And, they act as a consultant to the owner in the design, development, and construction phases, so they're.
They would, in the end, once you select one, they would be the construction manager on the project when it continues through construction.
It's essentially like allowing us to set up, we're going to interview for construction managers here.
Okay.
It's like post a notice if you're interested in applying, submitting that. And
I don't know how else to answer the question. I'm not.
Okay, did we have to
I know it sounds stupid, I just, I know, I understand.
Those are
what-
good questions.
I understand like
Yeah,
what a
those are good
contractor
questions.
is and subcontractors.
Yeah.
This
In the
person
end-
represents like what, like our vision and makes that, see what's feasible, is that what they're
I think
doing?
it's kind of like our main guy on the ground, day to day, the main contractor, dealing with all the subcontractors, looking at the plans that the
Right.
architects have laid out, trying to bring that into reality with the materials and the people that he has.
It's separate from Envision, it's like a separate
Yeah, they
entity
don't,
completely.
we have, right, all Envision does is draw up the plans, they
Right.
can't construct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Hey, did we have to have someone like this for, when we did our other projects at Central?
No.
Just because those were other renovations?
Those were
Okay, so this
direct-
is a newer process for us?
This is a new process for the state.
Oh, okay.
This is new.
This is,
New.
this has only been in place for about a year.
Okay.
So what kind of cost is this?
Okay. go ahead.
Sorry, Lyle, sorry.
Well, I don't know which question to answer first.
The bid, there'll be firms competing to be
That,
this
our contract,
contractor at risk.
okay.
You're basically hiring a contractor early, in a sense, through a proposal process.
And there will be a fee associated with that, which we will evaluate. But I was originally not in favor of this. Jesse was, and I finally joined him after learning more about it. And that is, we will be given, correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, but we will be given fairly early on a not-to-exceed cost
Okay.
before we issue any bids. And then, kind of what attracted me even more was, and now that not-to-exceed cost will of course include contingency for everything they don't know.
Yeah.
So initially, there's going to be a large contingency, and hopefully that comes down. But we'll have more say, if I understand it correctly, on the subs, because the contractor will will bid out the subs, and we'll have a chance to review that.
Sort of, yes, you do. Let me be clear. The CM, once they're on board, goes through a process of requests for qualifications for subs by trade. And they will get applications, basically, a proposal that shows that they can review for certain qualifications for subcontractors to be able to bid on the project. And the intent in this is to make sure that you can pre-qualify, that the low bidders have already been pre-qualified to show that they are capable and have the experience to do this type of project.
And so like everything else that we've done so far with this project, by putting out the bid for this, that's not us saying, we're still not giving green light on the project, this is just us,
It's bringing another voice into the exploration.
okay.
And this is not, this is a new process for Iowa, but it's been used in other states, like Wisconsin was one?
To some extent, yes, it's been used in other states. It's
Yeah.
been used commonly in the private sector. It's used all the time in the private sector, just not in the public school, public bidding kind of arrangement. You're basically asking for a guaranteed maximum price project. So like Lyle said, you'll have a price before the final bid packages are sent out to the subcontractors.
Okay.
The CM will make an assessment based on the documents at a chosen point of completion, but not the final set of documents.
Okay. Thank you. I promise I'm not stupid. I'm just trying.
No,
It's all new.
we went
This
back
is-
and forth. It was
This is
not.
new. This is new for everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's why I said those are good questions, great questions. Are there any more questions? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. And that, no ma'am. The next item on our agenda, item 7, is request for proposal for photography services. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the request for proposal for school photographic services as attached. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And I believe Stacy.
Yeah, okay, so, Life Touch has been doing pictures since we were cavemen, right? Like, always. And the thing is that they are really expensive. I mean, it's almost cost prohibitive for some people to get to buy their kids' pictures. So when we're doing this, who's going to be looking at the proposals, and is there any, and I went through and it talked about the things that they need to be able to offer, the different packages, that kind of stuff. But can we go in with a stipulation that we want at least one package to be something that is affordable to everybody? Something like that. Even if you just get one digital image, I just think that at this day and age, I know with Life Touch, to get the digital image, sometimes it's like $60. It's insane. And those pictures, there's still something that we use in yearbooks, and people still want them. So I don't know who looks at the final contracts, but.
So that's really kind of been one of the driving forces in this as well, has been the cost.
Good.
And, this is not to say by any means that we're gonna go away from Life Touch.
Right.
But it's just let's reopen this, because truly, yes, we have used Life Touch for a number of years. So it's just kind of a effort to revisit our photographic services. We have been contacted by some different companies that really would like us to do some just looking at their services, what they have to offer. So yes, it will be evaluated. Really, we did do a survey back in the fall of our administrators, of our athletic directors, those who have the most contact with who is providing our photographic services. Kind of had some really middle-of-the-line reviews, so a lot of support for, yes, let's go out and just see what's out there.
Yeah.
So it will be we haven't created a committee yet for who will be on that committee, but there will be some district personnel. Teaching and Learning Department is heavily involved in this. There will be some principals, there will be some ADs, I could see bringing in parents with it as well. So yes, there will be a committee. Lydia and I are very new to this process, so we're kind of learning as we're going with the whole photographic thing as well. But yeah, that is the plan, is to have a good committee that's going to come together and review those proposals.
So on
So the
page
next-
55, there's 6 packages.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting we offer a 7th skinny package?
So, that's a good name. Something that's.
Light. There you go.
Maybe something that's just like our baseline, something that we know that families
All right.
can afford.
Like 1 5x7 or something?
Yes.
Or just a couple digitals?
Yeah.
Something that makes sure that everybody can have a
Sure.
picture,
Sure. Sure.
Well, and it's
Yep.
really, And it's changed quite a bit over the years. You know, it used to be that, you know, Life Touch had a local presence here
Yeah.
in the Cedar Valley, but they no longer do. I think we're started down their Des Moines office now, I think, or
It
West
used
Des
to be
Moines. or
Latin, wasn't it?
Well, Latin did a lot of athletics, and they were local, and they
But I mean, they did it under the Life Touch umbrella.
well, they sold out to Life Touch. Latin was
Oh.
local, and then when they got out of it, they sold that. It became Latins by Life Touch for a while, and then it just went to Life Touch, and then they closed down, I think during COVID, their local office, because usually you have a spot over off Hudson Road, somewhere over there. They had I think, a location. I had to pick up stuff there before, and now it's all served out of Des Moines area, I think.
It's just
So
crazy, like,
are
you
we-
can get senior pictures sometimes cheaper than some of this.
So are we looking to encompass all of our events, all of our school pictures, all of our athletics, all of our dances and formals under one?
Or piece it out.
That we, or will we explore those different options?
That, it's kind of like an alternative that we're asking them to provide some additional beyond what would you charge for this service.
I don't think they're doing all athletics right now.
They're not.
Yeah, I didn't
They're
think
not.
so.
That's why I asked the question.
Because I think they're priced out. I think also from a communication standpoint, relationship standpoint, I think a lot of that has kind of broken down a bit. So I think there's multiple things that's, you know, for us to look at. But I think the main thing of it is the relationships did break down, as prices might look a little bit pricier. I don't know if you look at, you know, comparison to the sports and look at that price and then looking at Life Touch prices. But I do think relationship-wise, it's just been, you know, fragmented.
Yeah.
As we used to be a little bit more incohesive.
Well, and there's different challenges between taking photographers for, say, like a small athletic group or a performance art group or whatever versus doing 11 elementary buildings and 4 middle schools and 3 high schools. You know, that's a whole different level of challenges too. So there may be different groups that are more equipped to handle one versus the other. So we might see that maybe it's not one, maybe we have multiple based on their expertise, you know.
Yeah.
Shouldn't necessarily say, you know, it's a one in all bucket. It might be, hey, there's 2 buckets here that, you know, one works good for A and one works good for B. you
Yeah.
know.
And I think that's what's happening now. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I know there are some athletic clubs and that use other photographers, so it's not all Life Touch.
Yeah.
At this point.
I think also looking at it from a timing standpoint, I think when you're looking at some of the sports of knowing what dates and that kind of thing of between Life Touch or what would be efficient for what dates and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think, like I said, I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's a combination of things. So, you know, some dates someone might be able to accommodate one thing as Life Touch wouldn't.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, there's somebody said when Latins was doing it, you know, you had an issue, you could go over to University Avenue and they would.
Do a new print for you,
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
So.
I just wanted to thank you guys for revisiting it, so I appreciated seeing that on there.
Any more questions or comments? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us, so that's the end of our consent agenda items. Brings us to item 12, the technology purchase. And the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 3,360 student Chromebooks at a total cost of $818,189.25, 225 staff 2-in-1 Chromebooks at a total cost of $151,240.50, and 2,445 carrying cases at a total cost of $40,953.75.
So moved.
Second.
And discussion. We have Matt O'Brien, Director of Technology, here to answer any questions.
Good evening. This is a fairly standard thing for me to bring to you for approval in that around every springtime, I bring a pretty large package of device purchases. These devices are all to replace our end-of-life devices. We do kind of a rotation every year. As the board knows, we're one-to-one for our secondary school, so every year we replace our incoming 6th and incoming 9th graders with new devices, so they get that for their middle school and their high school career. The one difference with secondary this year is our secondary numbers are higher than normal, and that's because we're actually shifting to a different model at Expo. So right now, our Expo students have a combination of the desktop version of a Chromebook in a lot of their classrooms, and then that's supplemented with some older Chromebooks that they also check out. Those devices are all end of life, due for replacement. So with that in mind, we had some discussions between myself, our teaching and learning staff, as well as the administration at Expo, and it was decided to bring them on to the same model that our high schools, our East and West, have been using. So that's why the number is quite a bit higher than a typical year, is because we're purchasing enough to be able to bring Expo into kind of that one-to-one model. Again, their devices were due for replacement. We needed to do something. The choice was to bring them in with Chromebooks as opposed to just replacing kind of as they were right now, which was the combination of desktops and laptops. On the elementary side, we're replacing 2 elementary schools with new touchscreen Chromebooks. And then, as was mentioned in the motion, we also typically each year do staff life cycle laptop replacements. So we have some elementaries that are due for their staff laptops to be replaced. I did want to just note that I was really pleased with the pricing this year. This was something that thankfully wasn't, we've seen some price shockers with inflation lately, and the per unit cost that we got back this year I was really happy with. I do want to note that all of the per unit costs include licenses. So if you went and just kind of broke that down, the actual cost that we're paying for the actual device itself is around $30 or so less than that, and then about $30 or so of the cost makes up the license cost, which the nice thing with that, it's the license that we need to manage the device. And the nice thing with the license is it's a lifetime license. So where other types of licenses are a recurring cost every year, this is we bundle it with the device, and then we have that license for the device for the remainder of the device's lifespan. So that's a big plus for us, that there's not an additional cost coming before you or that we have to do down the road.
So the ones turned in as seniors, they've used for 4 years and they're trash?
I wouldn't say trash. Some of them are not in the best of shape. What we typically do is we'll go through all of those, and those that are still usable, we'll use either as spares, or oftentimes we'll need devices for, hey, we need 30 devices for a summer school program, or Upward Bound has borrowed devices from us before. We need devices for our custodian staff to take surveys. There's all these kind of one-off purchases or purposes that we need devices for. So those that are still in good shape, we still find a use for until updates are discontinued. So Google's, because in this case, Google is the operating system that they're running Chrome OS. Google sets an end-of-life date for each model of when they stop releasing security updates. At that point, then we consider them end-of-life, because obviously if they're not getting security updates, we don't want them on our network any longer. But until that point, if they're still usable, then in many cases, we do try to get some use out of them. In other cases, we salvage parts. If we have that same model in use elsewhere, we do a lot of that. Our student interns love salvaging Chromebook parts. I'm slightly tongue-in-cheek with that because it gets a little repetitive, but it's good experience for them. So we'll get parts from them, other purposes like that.
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I've asked
Just-
before too, that like, we have these models that are no longer updating. Do you still, and you've said before, you're not comfortable like donating them outside because they don't update, they still work, it's just the security that doesn't update, correct?
Yes, all of them don't work depending on the condition that we get them back. But yes, technically, when a device is discontinued and no longer gets security updates, it's kind of like if you kept an old iPhone, right, and Apple stopped releasing updates for that. It's the same concept where it's going to start getting buggier and buggier. It potentially has security vulnerabilities, and then you're going to start noticing things that don't work right. So like certain websites won't work right, either because of security issues or because it hasn't gotten the updates that newer websites need to display. So kind of that performance continues to kind of slide downhill until the device is just no longer relevant.
So there's no way that we could make them, we couldn't put out a big table of them and say if people want them, they can have them. That's not something that we're comfortable doing.
I would have a number of concerns around that, not just the security update piece. We also engrave all of our Chromebooks, so they all say Property Waterloo Community Schools. Start giving them away, and that starts becoming meaningless, quite honestly, where right now we do get calls, like just last week we got a call from a car dealership where they found a Chromebook in the car, even knew it was our property type of thing. So that would be a thing. It would also shift us from some cost recovery, where right now we're able to save some money on parts, we actually do make some money in recycling, to instead actually what I would say there would be a cost to us, because right now our recycler takes care of kind of wiping the devices and other things of that nature, where there would be quite a few deprovisioning steps that staff power would have to take as well. So it sounds great on the surface, but there's a number of concerns I would have with it.
Just my yearly check-in.
Sure.
So how's the, you talk about Google end of life under their Chromebooks here. How's that end of life in terms of years compared to a Microsoft product?
It has gotten substantially better. So that was actually within the last year a big thing that Google did. There was actually a piece that came out that expressed some concerns around that, and to Google's credit, they responded to that. So devices that we're purchasing right now, we're seeing a good 8 to 10 year of lifespan, where it used to be that was much more the limiting factor. Now we're seeing that so far out in the future that the device itself, these aren't several $100 very expensive devices are not going to last 8 to 10 years.
So our end of life stuff should be decreasing as we go forward then, right?
From that
aspect
aspect,
of operating
absolutely.
system.
So instead of having that be kind of a line in the sand type of thing, it's becoming less relevant, and instead it's more so just the shape of the device, how well the device is still, both the physical shape as well as just, processing standards, memory, et cetera, changes over time.
Yeah.
These devices that we're getting have more memory, more processor than devices that we bought previously, for example. So obviously, as technology continues to evolve, that's also a factor.
Yeah, I'm just looking here, it looks like, based on number for secondary, we're replacing about 50% of the student population in secondary. So that's a pretty big turnover right now.
50%?
Well, you figure there's, what was the number there?
Well, and
2445 Chromebooks for secondary students, and we got what, about 5,000?
yeah, so keep in mind that it's very different this year because of Expo. So those numbers are about 700 higher than normal because we're purchasing enough to factor in Expo. Typical year, we would purchase more, 1,700 or so for the 2 grade levels, about 850
We don't have
per grade
700
level.
kids at Expo, right?
So between all of their programs, And all of the virtual students, all of the programs that are housed under that, their enrollment does not start that high, but by this time this year, it's close to that level, yes. And obviously, we always factor in a certain degree of spares. We usually do about a 10% spare level. So, yeah, at this point, all of their programs is with a 10% threshold. That's where we got that number.
So if they transfer from east or west, they don't take their?
They don't currently. That will change next year now that we're going to be standardizing this process. So that will actually be a help with that.
Okay. And what budget are these coming from?
This year they're coming out of the general operating budget.
So you're saying that if and when they transition buildings, they'll keep their Chromebook with them?
Correct. So
They won't turn
currently,
like
right
anything
now, if a
empty?
student moves between east and west, then we just transfer the Chromebook with them. Expo, they turn them in, and then if they need a Chromebook at Expo, they're reissued. Next year, we'll treat Expo the same as the other two high schools, and they'll continue to keep that Chromebook as long as they're a student at the Waterloo schools.
So it's just the extra Chromebooks that are housed in the buildings?
Well, so the extra 700 I mentioned is to catch us up, so we have enough to issue all of Expo students, again, with some spares built in as well.
Okay.
Are more of the teachers using the Chromebook now than the regular laptops?
Yeah, now that everything has become cloud-based, and actually working with our teaching and learning staff, they really encouraged us to move towards just that kind of single platform for teachers to make it easy. Google's rolled out in the last year a couple of really teacher-friendly pieces that we used to buy software for that enables like screen recording and some other pieces which also work really nicely with the touch screen, so that's gone over pretty well.
And just one final thing, with the cases, are the kids using them?
It varies wildly, I guess is what I would say. And quite honestly, we've given the buildings some autonomy on whether they really want to push the students to keep the Chromebook in the case, because they're meant to be able to use with the case on, and some
Right.
buildings really push that, and others are not as heavy on that as well. So that's also a difference between middle school and high school, where middle school, a lot of middle school, they'll push them to keep them in the cases, not so much at high school. So it varies.
The kids, like my daughter, I don't think she's used the case for 2
Yeah.
years now, but can we offer a sleeve instead so that would that, instead of issuing her a case that she's not going to use, just a sleeve that she can put in their backpack, or is that?
We could, so are you thinking like a choice, or are you thinking?
Yes. Or,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sure. I think the choice would get messy just because for inventory processes, like right now,
Yeah.
we're able to just inventory that the student had X Chromebook number, and then we know they were issued a power adapter and a case. So that would actually complicate those logistics
Yeah.
quite a bit. We could, I guess what I would say is, we have, based on volume, the other thing is just cost, right? So, the higher number we bid, then the lower per unit cost, the better deal we're getting type of thing. So splitting that in two, we're not going to get quite of the economics of scale. So what I would say is maybe this year we continue with this process, and then next year I can certainly reach back out. So this wasn't just me coming up with the case, I should mention. Like, we've tried a number of cases, and in the past, we've actually done sleeves as well. The sleeves did not go over super well with the staff that I surveyed. There were complaints about, well, where does the kid put the power adapter? There was concerns about if they tried to shove it in a little pocket, then it was damaging the screen. Again, this was a number of years ago, so it may be time to do another survey.
And I'm just thinking of like our big kids,
Sure,
they don't
yeah,
carry
maybe doing something different at middle school than high school.
Yeah, if they don't carry a backpack too,
That's,
just
yeah.
walking around with the.
Or if they could check it out, something, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. So, particularly at WCC, but maybe some of these other programs like our journalism, they're using a lot of different software packages. How compatible is the Google platform with some of the more specialized programming, CAD systems and different things?
So,
and ability for students to access that when they're away from most classrooms.
So that's actually a really good question. So right now at WCC, we still have a number of traditional labs, both for Kyle's information technology. You mentioned the drafting, and then also the drawing, Matt Dunkerton's video editing. Those three are kind of our traditional Windows labs. That is special software that requires a lot of horsepower, for lack of a better word, to run, so it would not run directly on the Chromebook. There's a technology that's called application virtualization, which basically takes those pieces of software and instead of running it on the device, which right now it's running on the actual computer in the lab, it instead runs on a server somewhere, and then the device ends up being just kind of like a terminal to get to
remote
that.
access.
Yeah, so it's just like a web-based access. 2 years ago, maybe, when we last replaced those WCC labs, we actually had a conversation with Jeff Frost and the instructors that were involved and were due for lab replacements. And it was pretty unanimous that they didn't want to go that route. They wanted to continue, at least for now, to have the traditional computer labs. I know we will bring that up again when those labs are due for replacement. Because right now the computers in those labs are a sunk cost, where if we were to transition to the application virtualization, that's a recurring cost that takes place every year. So it wouldn't make financial sense to do it while the computers are still good, but when those are due for replacement, I think it absolutely makes sense to bring that conversation back up again and see what direction they want to go.
Because the interesting piece of that is that by that limitation, if a student doesn't get their assignment or they are having to miss for whatever reason,
Yep.
that there's no way to catch up that activity unless they are in that.
Unless they're physically present in the lab.
Physically present.
Yep, which I will say WCC staff are awesome about letting kids come in after hours and at different times. So it's less of a problem because of that, but Jesse, you raise a very valid point that, hey, we're giving kids a device, it can do 90% of what we want them to do or what their expectations are, except if they're in these specialized programs, in which case they can't. So it's a valid point.
And which could, hopefully, will be increasing in numbers in the
For
coming
sure.
years. So that
Yep.
may become a bigger access question because, you only have a dozen machines that could do that, but you have 60 students enrolled in that. There's only a finite number of hours in a day to be able to access that machine. So
absolutely,
that does become
it will become a bigger deal as
a
enrollment
bottleneck
increases, for sure.
potentially. Yeah,
for sure.
Especially when projects are
agree.
coming due and all the kids have waited to the last moment to do their projects and.
That never happens, right? I will say there has been a couple of other districts that have gone down that route for like their programs that use like Adobe Creative Cloud is one of those software packages that we're talking about. And they've really given mixed reviews. A few have even reverted back to labs. A few have gone all in and loved it. So please know that we do gather that information and that we do consider that. Like I said, it's something that the last time we actually purchased computer hardware that we did have quite a conversation with the instructors as well as with Jeff about that before we brought the proposal to you.
And it might be something you can consider, on some one-off student populations that
sure,
if you're in a certain class, if we're going to issue this type of device instead, that's more compatible with that, maybe just if,
Potentially, yeah. I believe, I think it would still be way more cost effective to go the application virtualization route as opposed to that, just to your point of increasing enrollment and the number of special devices we would have, because if you're enrolled in just one of those classes, then potentially you need a device that can access the software. So that count would continue to increase. So I do think probably the application virtualization is a lot more cost effective, but we could look at it.
the cybersecurity, do they use anything extra on their devices or is that all standard Google stuff?
So a lot of the things that they do are actually web-based. They have kind of these web-based lab environments that they run. But they do they have a kind of a cart of Windows laptops that when they go to their competition, that's what they use. There are some command line tools and some other specialized software that run on the Windows platform. So the answer is kind of both. Some of what they do, much of like their day-to-day curriculum is web-based and could run on a Chromebook, but there's still a chunk of their learning and a chunk of what they do that requires a different device.
I mean, we kind of got pushed into one-to-one route out of necessity at one point, you know, is, you know, we were replacing like 50% of them, you know, that's a significant turnover, so we'll maybe see how the coming years we can try to manage that a little better so that, you know, we're not, you know, at some point, you know, the kids got to be a little bit accountable to taking care of their device. You know, if they owned it, they might take better care of it, you know.
Sure. And I do want to just highlight again, this number is abnormally high because of Expo. You know, loss is absolutely something that we look at and talk about. And if a student damages or loses a Chromebook, they are held responsible for that. You know, there are fines that go on the student's fee account. That's not to say that 100% of those are paid. I mean, that there's obviously some more conversation around that, but it's not like there's no accountability. If a Chromebook walks away, it does get disabled, so we may not get it back, but it's also not of use to the student. And like I said, we have successfully recovered. This year, we had a call from Minnesota, recovered a random Chromebook that was found there, so it does happen.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, but thank you, Matt, for all your work on this as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
So all those in favor of superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Thanks again, Matt.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. So I believe we're down to our last action item. So the superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the following policies: student substance abuse, expulsion, and capital assets. This is the second reading, but we have our own Pam Arndorfer here that can give a little bit more explanation on the second read. Can we get a motion to put this on the table?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, discussion or questions?
I missed the first reading, I'm sorry, but I have three quick questions. On page 73, the changing the age from 18 to 21, what was behind that?
That is consistent with IASB and the code.
But it seems like a kind of a big, did they actually change, did the state law change?
That's a really good question. Let me look into that.
All right. On page 77, only the board may remove a student from school environment more than 10 consecutive days. In the past, if there was some sort of event that warranted an expulsion hearing, it took often more than 10 days to set all that up. So are we in a bind of some kind, or how do we deal with that?
Oh.
So are you asking, do we not put a specific time frame, just in case it may take a little while longer to get a expulsion hearing, or?
Yeah, I don't know where the 10 days came from, but it seems like it could be problematic if the student's removed from the school for something serious. According to this, if we don't act within 10 days, they go back.
So, and I'll have to double check with Sheena on this, but my wondering is removing the school from the student from the school environment, they're still getting services during that time. So if a student is awaiting an expulsion hearing, we're still serving that student, so they're not removed.
Even
They're
though
not expelled, even though they're not,
allowed on the property.
right, because they still might be getting virtual classes, so they're still part of the school environment. And that's what I'm wondering,
So
if
should we
that's
say,
technical, that
should we
school
say,
environment.
yeah,
is-
should we say school services instead?
Well,
I mean, this is the second reading, so I don't know that I don't know.
I mean,
It
some of
just
the
says,
changes.
it just says remove from the school environment. It doesn't say remove from.
I guess according to this, what would be our, What would be our process if we have a student that is under expulsion? What, how would
They,
we?
they would still receive services up until the point that they're expelled.
Okay.
So that might
So-
be, like I say, it might be a different placement, it might be a
So we're okay
virtual-
with that?
Yeah.
When we went through this, Lyle,
Yeah.
we talked a lot about using in lieu of expulsion, and we added, remember, we found that Iowa code, which we had not seen before, that talked about that a superintendent can provide services if they choose to. And so Sheena really discussed different ways that we can look at in lieu of expulsion. And that was
Okay.
one of the big things we talked about, so.
Okay. And then lastly, page 81, intangible assets. What intangible assets do we have?
That's when we're buying software, pretty much software purchases.
There are asset?
Well, if we, the new GASB requirements, if we purchase like a software package and we purchase it, like the use of it for 3 years, they want us to treat it as an intangible asset and possibly amortize it and show it on our books that way.
Like the software in the Chromes or like the
No, it'd be more like,
transportation system?
it would be more like that, but like, for instance, the overall general ledger software that we just purchased, Link, or some of the educational programs that we
Okay.
buy.
All right, but nothing like logo or any of that stuff?
No, this is all related to just basically software. And if it's part of, if you can't directly disassociate it from the machine, it's not considered it. So for instance, our copiers, when we lease those, or when we buy those, I mean, the portion of the software that's in there is not considered separate from the machine, so it
The
doesn't.
firmware on the machine is not considered separate, is part of the machine integrated in. We can't really go in and change the firmware.
Thank you, you said it better than me.
Okay, and goodwill?
I can't imagine that we're buying anything that would have
All right.
goodwill. I can't think of any example.
Well, it's supposed to be an asset.
Any more questions? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That ends our action items for this evening, and now we'll go to our superintendent's report.
Just two quick things for you guys. First of all, tomorrow night, we're back in this room over on that side for our first work session. I've explained this a few times, but this first work session will be covering chronic absenteeism, which has been a district focus of ours. How will the new high school, what are the processes right now we're doing to address chronic absenteeism? And how will a new high school help to continue to address these issues? Thank you guys for your questions. Sheena and her team have really been working hard to address the questions you guys came up with. So the format's going to look a little like about a 30-minute presentation addressing the questions that you guys gave ahead of time, and then a 60-minute kind of back and forth between the board, asking questions, clarification, and trying to bring the experts to you so you feel like you walk away with some answers. That's it. The public is welcome to attend. We're going to set up like a little round table there for the board, and the public will be in the kind of more in the background, but we will try to find a way to allow to have the public ask questions as well.
Good.
So the other thing is we are looking at a pretty significant HVAC renovation here in the district office this summer. Just given in this building. I didn't know how much it would impact the day-to-day operations. We're actually going to be out of here for about, the plan is, and it's not, we're working through it, but we feel like we're basically going to relocate this building into Lowell
Okay.
for most of the summer.
Like
So,
what dates are you thinking? Like,
off the top of my head, does anybody remember that? Was
I
it?
think it's June 6th or 7th is our last day here, and then we come back in August, early teens.
July 29th.
Or July, well, that was the work from home thing, but I think we're relocating back in by
A week
early
later.
August.
Yeah, so mid-June to early August we're looking at. The reason I'm bringing this to your attention is it's going to impact a couple of school board meetings. So we're looking at alternative locations, because we asked, can we be in this room? And we looked at City Hall, but we want to keep it on a school property. So we're looking at setting up a remote site out at the WCC. So more information on that to come. So lots going on.
Wow.
Well, culinary helps out, right?
Yeah, now that you say it. Yeah.
Good idea.
All right, tonight we'll start with Director Schmidt.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who attended tonight's meeting. We like to see a crowd like that, especially those that shared their thoughts at the microphone. They may think they're not heard, but they are. And so we really appreciate that. And then my second message is to the staff, the teachers that were here. We've all received quite a few texts, I think, and I responded to a number of them. I'm a little behind. I don't know if I'll get to them all, but the specific item I would challenge you, or I'd be interested in, is whether it was in the formal contract or the handbook or something in the past that's now missing and a barrier to enhancing your ability to teach or to provide or to have hope and vision. I'm always on my hope and vision standpoint, but that not only applies to students, it applies to teachers as well. So I would invite any specific comments along those areas. The generic message is fine, but if it was enhanced to be specific on what exactly is impacting them for not being in the contract or not being in the handbook, I specifically welcome that information. That's it.
Thank you, Director Schmidt. Director Knight?
I'm going to echo Lyle over here. I appreciate the community coming out tonight, expressing their feedback. Regardless of kind of where we end at, it is important to have engagement from the community. We hear all voices, and also the staff showing up tonight in support of their upcoming contract. And, as well, we've all received a number of correspondences, and it's good to, see reach out, but I would also, like, more personal pieces would be, I think, helpful as well, just as Lyle stated. Understanding the direct impact and taking the time to write that will, just help me understand more of their position, so. And we're a quarter away? We just ended the third quarter for secondary, so high school, we got 1 quarter to go.
Yeah. Knocking them down.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director Knight.
Yes.
Director Mills?
It was wonderful to have so many people come and speak, and I've been on that side, and it's scary to go up to that mic. It really is. Like, I remember doing it as a parent a few times, and it takes a lot to be able to come up and voice your thoughts, your opinions in front of everybody. And we do hear every voice, and it does matter. I also wanted to apologize. I have not responded to many emails or anything. My husband fell off the roof during spring break, and our life just kind of shut down. So to the teachers, I hope you're watching this at some point. I'm going to get back to all of you, I promise, once life gets a little more normal at our house. And then I did want to say, going back, because we haven't been here since then, I saw Jonathan and we got to attend the Carver's Black History Month celebration, and it was awesome. It was amazing. It was inspiring. The students were so excited. The entire Commons was filled, parents, staff. It was a wonderful celebration and definitely something worth going to. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Mills. Director Ewing?
All I have to say is thank you for everybody who works, cares, volunteers, speaks, comes to meetings, teaches, cooks, cleans, and otherwise does anything for our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Ewing. Director Cox?
Just like to say, Jerry, I think it's a great thing of having the schools come in and talk about what they're doing good and what's great about it. I said this before, individuals need to know what this district is doing good. And there are some good things about this district. And we have to do, I think we have to do a better message of getting that message a little bit wider to individuals. And I think it's important. I think it would help us, the public would be able to have a better understanding of where we're trying to go. The other thing, just kind of echo what Stacy mentioned about the Carver Black History Month. I also attended Central, and it was nice. They at Central they had anime wings there.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, to me that's African American history right there. And so I thought that was nice. And I think lastly is just kind of echoing on the simple fact that, you know, we have to do this together. I mean, teachers, principals, we have to do this together. And so just want to kind of just throw those words out. But I really, really like the fact that schools are coming in, talking about the good. Yep.
Can I add one thing? I just wanted to say I was very proud of my daughter. Like, she's not a public speaker, and she did a great job. So
I got her down.
So.
Yep, I got her down. Going last again, I guess. So everybody stole my thunder. I want to reiterate, we appreciate all those that came and spoke and all those that came in support as well. Your voices are heard. Our information is public. If it's an email, as you heard the rest of the board members speak, we've been responding to emails and will continue to do so. It doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for those that came to speak, all those that came in support of those that came to speak. Thank you. I was thinking about this this weekend when I was going over my board agenda. Whosever idea it was to allow the buildings to come in and talk about what they're doing. You've heard me say this several times before. I don't know that it's fun sitting behind this desk. I don't know that it's fun. It's not. It's not. I don't run from much, but it's a difficult ask. It's a difficult task to volunteer your time. But the one thing that I can speak for this board and say, when we get to hear people in the buildings, and especially our students, that are doing great things, the board celebrations are by far the best thing. And having the opportunity to see our West High inside, I was going to say spectator.
It should be spectator.
Insider, seeing the students from, you know, Lowell, what they're doing, and Cunningham, and all the buildings that have already came and presented to us. makes me leave this place after a long 3-hour meeting a little energized, because I know we're doing great things. And I'm in quite a few buildings during the week, but just being able to sit here and see and hear all the great things that are happening in our district, it does something to me. We're creating leaders. Now, is everything perfect? Absolutely not. We have a lot of work to do, a whole lot. But there are people in our district that are putting their best foot forward, and they're trying. They're trying. So we appreciate you. I appreciate you personally, all the staff, students, administration of our district, and everything that they bring. So with that being said, tomorrow we do have a work session on chronic absenteeism. The public is welcome to attend, 5 p.m. in this room. Our next board meeting will be April 8th in this room as well. So if there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. We're adjourned.
Lyle, I think you're right.